Hey YouTube, long time no see. I've been ridiculously busy. The projects have been going ahead. The townhouse one's going really well, but I'll cover that off in a bit more detail in another update. Probably do one tomorrow for you guys. But the subdivision project has hit a few milestones this week. So we had our time in front of the council and all the aldermen. For those of you who don't deal with councils very often, aldermen are elected officials. They kind of keep the council honest a little bit, question them, make sure what they're doing is in the public interest. And because a lot of the council officials are essentially salaried employees, and the aldermen are meant to kind of represent the people's view a bit. So when a planning matter is discretionary and there are more than 3 objections, or 3 or more, what they do is they look at it, they go around all the sites, they look at what's going on, and then they make a decision. Well, then it's put in front of them in a meeting. So I went to the meeting, the council meeting, and there were 2 people speaking against our development. One of them was talking about a landslide incident that happened on the block next door, which, when you dig into it, wasn't a landslide incident. If you dig a big hole in a bank, it can collapse, and that's what happened. And unfortunately, a small child died. That was about 20-30 years ago now, so quite some time ago, but as a result there's a bit of stigma in this area, and it got reported as landslip at the time, but it really wasn't. And the other guy who had an issue was more about how we build our road. Now, our road is going over essentially kind of like private land, but no one owns it. So it's a piece of orphaned private land that was designated as a roadway, but no one ever cleaned up the title and handed it over to council. Nothing like that was ever done. So there was a bit of discussion about whether we should be allowed to do that. But the council kind of pointed out that half their road system is over private land, parts of the Midland Highway are over private land. Like, this is not abnormal. Roads are built over all sorts of stuff. The council doesn't necessarily own the roadways, they just own the infrastructure on top, the actual road itself. So that was an interesting discussion. The alderman asked a lot of pretty tricky questions. One in particular, she was really good, kind of keeping them honest, keeping them thinking. And one of them got up, a guy got up and he spoke really positively in favour of the development. Now, we're not doing it as dense as we could. We're not cramming townhouses on here. We can fit something like 25 or 30 units on here. Yeah, we're not doing that sort of stuff. We're doing a quality development with quality outcomes, not going for the most money, but going for the best outcome for people. Now, we're making money, don't get me wrong. We're property developers. We're not here to lose money, but we're also not here to, create slums of the future. And part of the planning scheme says that what you have to build is in keeping with the area around you. Now, the blocks out here, we're actually building a little bit bigger than most of the blocks. Our neighbours block is quite a bit bigger, but it's a sort of an orphaned internal block. All the suburban blocks around us, which is essentially what we're building, more suburbia, are smaller than what we're building. So our smallest block is about 700 metres. Our largest block is 1,400 metres, but it's a big chunk of embankment down over that hill behind my car, in front of my car. So yeah, it's been interesting. Anyway, so that got approved. We got the paperwork all done, except we've got 14 days for anyone to lodge an objection, but we're already partway through that. Let's just hope that pans out nicely. Now, the house, we basically are cutting that off first as part of our subdivision, and the new owners who bought that from us have just taken the keys from me. I literally just met them on site just then, handed over the keys, and the previous owners, I've literally been in the house once since the previous owners moved out and the new owners are moving in, so it was empty for about a week. And the previous owners left this really nice notebook with instructions on how everything in the house works and information on it, and saying how lovely the house had been for them, and they raised their whole family in that house, so it was really kind of nice. And the new people moving in have 2 or 3 kids, 2 kids I think. 2 kids, and so they're raising their family to a degree in there, and so yeah, it's a really nice kind of situation. So the house is no longer kind of our problem. They'll do maintenance and they'll cover all the costs associated with the house, and we just have a big muddy block of land. Maybe I should do some burnouts in my Subaru, 4-wheel drive drifting in the mud. No, that's not a good idea. So yeah, next job, cut the house off, settle the house, pay down the debt, finish the engineering, and start hiring a major contractor. And then we end up with 9 blocks of land. really beautiful views. I mean, that's it behind me. It's funny, on a phone it never looks as good, but in person these views are beautiful. It's looking across a really lovely valley. The river flats in front of us can't be built out because they're flood prone and they're just river flats. But it's got horses and cows and stuff in it. Look further up the valley, you've got farms. Look across there, you've got the village of St Leonard's. It's a beautiful spot. And even like here, last thing in the afternoon, on a winter's afternoon, I've still got sun over my shoulder where the sun's setting. Like, it's not sheltered, it's not, you know, damp or sort of, you know, south facing. There's a lot of blocks around this city which, you know, in winter get really damp and really cold. This isn't one of them. This is going to be nice blocks. They're going to have good solar access. It's a really good spot. The more I think about it, the more I want to live here. Anyway, thanks people. Take it easy. Check out our Facebook page and like our Facebook page. We're up to 98 likes on there, so it's doing pretty well. I've also set up an Instagram page where I'm posting a little bit of this sort of stuff, a few pictures of our development work. Check out The Next Developer, and just, yeah, keep an eye out for the update on the townhouses. They're coming along really nice. Cheers people.